I want to talk about finding joy in caregiving. The first way is just to have a sense of humor. You're going to run into some little bumps along the way, and if you can just kind of put them in perspective and just say, oh well, and just kind of laugh about it and move on, that's a very effective way to put a little sunshine in your day. And as far as humor goes, try to pick out movies that are funny. My husband and I had some old tried and true comedies that we really like to bring back and watch. If you can find a book to read together, that can be really enjoyable too. Secondly, make an effort to socialize. You don't have to cut yourself off from the world. One great way to socialize is if you have a church family, and you can, just having the fellowship, making it to service. Sometimes, your loved one may come to a place where going to the service just isn't practical anymore, but they have a lot of online sermons from all varying stripes, and but still make an effort to have people come into your home that are part of either your church family, your earthly family, friends, neighbors. Reach out and think of ways to socialize that don't involve much work. Maybe you were used to having people over for dinner. Well, have them over and order out, or order a pizza, something like that. It's important. It's important to not isolate. If you can get to a support group of the condition, like my husband had ALS, and there were ALS support groups, and that was very, very helpful. Stay in touch with your own family. Maybe you can just send out a group text or a group email. Try to respond all you can when people reach out to you. There's telephone calls. Nowadays there's Zoom, there's FaceTime. There's ways to be present when you can't physically be present. Okay. Number 3, reframe your activities. Try to think about what you used to love doing together, and maybe there's a different way that you can participate in that. Like, we used to enjoy playing trivia, and we would do that on cruises, and so there, the Jeopardy television show is kind of a way you can play trivia again. Or you can have, like they have the, what do they call that? Anyway, it's a trivia game that you can do at home, and you can stay involved that way. Along that same line, when my husband and I used to be able to get out, we really enjoyed taking cruises together with groups. Here's a few tips about cruising with a disabled person. First, cruise ships do offer disabled rooms. They have, there's different levels. There's ones that have a roll-in shower, and ones that have just a low step. So depending on the abilities of your person you're caring for, you want to make sure you get the one that is fits your needs. So talk to your travel agent or the cruise line itself. We always almost always went on Princess, and had good luck with them. Anyway, I'm sure they all have similar service. The rooms will be big enough for a wheelchair. They will have set up the power cord if it's perhaps your person you're caring for needs a CPAP or a BiPAP machine. So they usually make different arrangements with bringing in like a long cord that you might need. And that's something to consider. As far as dietary needs, they have, depending on what you need, I know they have vegetarian options. We cruised once with a gentleman that was kosher, and they came over every night and talked about the next night's menu, what would be kosher for him. So if you've been on cruising, you know that they try to make your experience as problem-free and as supported as possible. One thing with my husband, he needed extra nutrition, so they, for no extra cost, they provided him with Ensure. So I can't remember if that was the brand, but anyway, it's that dietary supplement. And he needed that to maintain his weight, even though he was eating regular food. He also needed that, and they provided it. I think they had 2 flavors, vanilla and strawberry, I believe. And again, that was on Princess. So that was a help. Going to the shows, they have special seating. They have a place in the theater for wheelchairs, and then people that are sitting with their disabled person. So they have like a spot for the wheelchair, and they have a seat beside that. The only problem with that we found was that it's very high up in the theater. It's, you're far away from the show. But, in a theater that size, somebody's going to be far away. Let's see. And that was just in the theater. But they would help you on and off the ship. If you didn't bring your own wheelchair, they would wheel you off and wheel you back on, but they didn't have wheelchairs on the ship that they could rent. However, there are 2 private companies that would rent wheelchairs to us. One was called, I think it was called Special Needs at Sea, and the other one was called Scoot Around, and they both had like power scooters. They also had power wheelchairs, so depending on what was handy for your disabled person, you could take a pick. And they were somewhat pricey. I'm trying to remember, for a week, I think it might have been $500. Don't quote me on that, but you can check it out. And you also, because I have a bad back, and eventually I could only sleep in a recliner, so I was able to rent a recliner from one of these companies. And whatever you needed, either the scooter or the recliner, whatever, they would bring it to the ship. So when you get on the ship, it's there in your room. And when you get off the ship to, what do they call that? Disembark. When you're done with your cruise, you just leave it in the cabin and you go on about your business. So that was good. They do have a sick bay there on the ship with doctors and nurses Not a lot of doctors, I think just one or two, and they have emergency equipment. You can't expect it to be equipped like a hospital, but they do have emergency equipment and, you know, medicines of some kind. I'm sure you'll bring whatever basic medicine is required for the person being cared for. But we had several times, my husband spent several days or hours in the sick bay, and of course I was always able to go in with him. And so that was a help. They recognize that they're limited. So if you have something really serious going on that they can't deal with, they may have to put you off in a port. I know that's maybe not the best news, but I know at one point my husband was struggling, and they said if he doesn't reach this criteria by the time we get into this port, we'll have to have him get off. But he rebounded, and he was fine. And we still were able to enjoy the dinners and the shows, and, you know, I was able to, we had a power chair at home, but I never wanted to take that with us because we had other wheelchairs that you push, and that's what I elected to do. A lot of times we'd have somebody come with us, like our children or grandchildren, and they would help wheel my husband around. And I did what I could. And sometimes we had friends that came and helped. So that's really nice if you can have someone else to cruise with. People are very kind, and they were very helpful. Let's see. Another thing was really helpful for me. Of course, I watch way too much YouTube. But there are a lot of, or at least there are several influencers on YouTube that just talk about cruising with disabled people. So I got, you know, some good ideas from that. Let's see. I think that's about it. But it's a good way to go. Oh, and sometimes if my husband did not feel well enough to go down to the dining room, you know, there's always room service, and they were actually very kind at because the regular formal dining room, you don't usually get stuff to go. But when my husband had a bad few days, I went down there and picked out a meal, and they were kind enough to let me bring it back to the room for him. So it's all good. I recommend it. And then, so back to the regular video. But when it became too much even to do that, we would do what we called staycations. We would stay at home and we would pretend we were on a cruise. We would, I'd usually make a couple of dishes from the country where we were supposed to be. Like we went to, quote unquote, Switzerland, and I made these little jumper tops that was my idea of something you'd wear in the Alps. And then I can't remember what the dish was I made when we went there, but then we'd watch travel videos about the country on the computer, and we would, I'd pick out a couple of movies that had to do with that. Like I think we watched Sound of Music when we supposedly went. Anyway, I can make a video focused on what we did with our staycations. It was really fun. And, you know, you do have to have someone that's willing to participate and, you know, wear the little costume or whatever. Anyway, but I was really blessed. My husband was very open to to things like that. What you want to think about is thinking of the things that you used to enjoy doing and what you liked about them, and try to recreate that feeling somehow. Maybe it's time for a new hobby. Think of activities that you and your husband could do together. Like we used to, we would try taking rides together. I know that's one thing that a friend has. Her husband is disabled too, and she, every day gets him out for a ride. So just keep interactive as much as you can. Now, another thing that's important is to set a time each day to talk about non-medical things. It's just, we found that really enriching. It was just making that connection brings you close together. And you don't have to discuss practical things then. Just talk about whatever you're thinking about and maybe reminisce or, whatever. Just spend a little time together with each other as human beings. And speaking of time, rethink your idea of time. Like these little meetings that we would have, they didn't have to be long, but we knew they were coming, so we knew that there was that contact. And as you're thinking of any of these activities, don't think, well, I don't have time to do that. Just make time, make a little time, even if it's only 10 minutes. That connection is something that you look forward to. And something you want to remember is that you need to maintain a sliver of your old self and keep that going. What I mean by that is you probably had things that you like to do regularly, and as a caregiver, you won't be able to do things to the extent, but again, like rethinking time, if you have 10 minutes every day that you can work on what used to be, on a hobby that used to be important to you, don't lose yourself in all this. Just because you have to remember that those kind of things re-energize you, and that you're going to need all the energy that you can get. So like for me, I'm into art and writing. And so I try to keep up with those things. You can't do it every day, but again, try to make it regular, whether it's, 15 minutes or an hour, keep the fun part of yourself going, and then you can share that with your I was looking up what to call the person you're caring for, and they called the one I found online was, you're the caregiver, they're the care receiver. And I'm not sure I really like that that much either. It sounds more sterile. But just the person that you're caring for. If they're appreciative, which again, I was so blessed that my husband was, they'll be happy to see you doing things for yourself too. It makes them feel just glad for you. Then also, you want to encourage their friendships. My husband used to meet with a group of men that he worked with, and I would take him there, and they'd have lunch, and they would talk. And he had several really good friends that kept up the contact, and I really appreciated that, and I know he did too. So encourage that. encourage that. I think it's a way to, again, let your person you're caring for feel a part of the world. Again, it's that isolation thing. You don't want that. Don't take on new responsibilities. If you're a caregiver, sometimes you want to do that. You see a need and you want to step in. But try not to take on new responsibilities, but do make time for self-care. Again, rethinking how you look at time. Cut out small chunks of time for yourself, on a regular basis, whether it's once a week or once a month or something. Give yourself something to look forward to. And then lastly, focus on the positive. And of course, what I thought of is that little song, Count Your Blessings, name them one by one. And that's very precious. And then, an old, I think, Bing Crosby song, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, hold on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. Anyway, and if you have a chance, look up Philippians 4:8, because it's all about focusing on the positive. So remember, you're making a difference in someone's life, and whether it's a loved one or someone that you're working for, what you're doing is important. And as you take care of them, try to take care of yourself too. Okay. God bless you. Hang in there. I'm still proud of you. Bye. Hello. Start over. That's not going to work. What's that reflection? Oh.